I was reborn. On the very day, I confessed my feelings to the campus belle. In my past life, I spent a fortune to make her an A-list starlet, yet she believed she was destined for fame from birth. She scorned me as weak, cuckolded me, and pushed me off the 37th floor, leading to my death. Opening my eyes again, that sharp, mean face was full of contempt. She looked down on me and sneered. Spending your money is doing you a favor. This amount isn't even enough to spare a beggar. Hearing this, I immediately stopped the transfer and took back the gifts. In that case, I'd rather give it to a dog than to you. Woof. Stella Lou and I were in the heat of an argument. She complained that my 1314 yuan red envelope was too little, the 99 roses too cheap, and used my lack of sincerity as an excuse to reject my confession. Suddenly, someone mimicked a dog's bark, diverting our attention. She said, "What kind of dog costs so much? Do I look like a dog to you?" Turning around, a delicate, beautiful face was right before us. It was Sienna Gu, who lost the campus belle title by just one vote. Sienna Gu earned second place through genuine ability, while Stella Lou's campus belle title was entirely bought by this sucker spending money to rig votes. I noticed Stella Lou right from the start of freshman year. New to the big city, she still carried a hint of insecurity. Her family was poor, with a son, preferring mother who constantly found excuses to cut her allowance. Thus, she clung fiercely to the one thing she had, her looks. So I spent money to rally votes and crown her campus belle. After gaining fame at school, she attracted swarms of admirers, and her attitude slowly shifted. In my past life, despite all this, I persistently pursued Stella Lou until I won her over. Afterward, she became fixated on breaking into the entertainment industry. Sadly, her talent was mediocre. Even with my financial backing, she only achieved minor fame by the time we graduated and married. After marriage, she never bothered with family or company matters. And my parents led simple, frugal lives. So from start to finish, Stella Lou only ever thought I had a bit of money. After she hit the big time, she scorned me as worthless, cheated behind my back, and even caused my death. The little money she earned was nothing but a drop in the ocean compared to what I had invested. Every action she took, every word she spoke, felt like a sharp knife, slowly carving into my heart. It's something I will never forget for all eternity. Now that she's so eager to cut ties with me, I couldn't be more relieved. I told Sienna Gu to pull up her WeChat Pay QR code. Sienna thought I was just putting on a brave front in front of Stella Lou, and not one to miss out on drama. She promptly opened WeChat. When she heard the notification for a 100,000 yuan transfer, her pupils visibly dilated. Stella Lou, meanwhile, stared fixedly at my transfer screen, a mix of shock and regret flickering in her eyes. I pretended not to notice her intense gaze. Stella, used to being put on a pedestal, was too proud to swallow her pride and make amends. She retorted stubbornly, "Humph, did you think this would make me agree to be with you? You must have borrowed from some shady loan sharks. Hurry and ask for the money back." Hearing this, unlike before, I didn't try to persuade her to stay. Instead, I responded coldly, "It's my money, none of your business." Stella Lou shot me a glare before turning away indignantly. Thus, the bond from past and present lives was completely severed. From now on, we were enemies. When it comes to enemies, I won't show any mercy either. Hey classmate, just because your confession got rejected, you don't have to take it out on the money. I'll transfer it back to you. Sienna Gu's flustered voice snapped me out of my daze. Her family situation wasn't great either, but unlike Stella Lou, she was more positive and sunny. Yet, in our past life, it was this very girl who was driven to jump to her death under Stella Lou's torment. And I was an accomplice. I made up an excuse, saying it was a donation for her grandmother's surgery, secretly trying to atone for my past life guilt. It was no secret that she was raising funds for her grandmother's operation. Hearing this, her previously firm insistence on returning the money suddenly wavered. After some thought, she added me on WeChat and didn't bring up repayment again. As I walked, I received a message from her. "Consider it a loan, but no interest allowed, okay?" losing just one simp. Stella. Lou quickly tossed me aside and moved on to her next target, with a mere crook of his finger from campus heartthrob Sean's song. Stella. Lou eagerly threw herself at him without a second thought.
He was practically the gold standard for every girl's ideal partner at school.
Not only was he incredibly handsome, but his family background was prestigious. And most importantly, he was courteous and polite to everyone. I used to think that was just who he truly was. In my memories from my past life, about 3 months later, a girl would come forward and accuse Sean Song of rape. It was only then that I realized how wild Sean Song really was behind the scenes. He didn't have a steady girlfriend, keeping all the girls at an ambiguous arm's length. Whether it was for his looks or his money, most of these girls went along with it willingly. So, Sean Song managed to avoid any major scandals until he finally crossed the wrong person. I opened my WeChat moments, and Stella Lou's official announcement post was impossible to miss. Meeting you was the beginning of every story. The post was accompanied by a photo of their hands intertwined. Meanwhile, Sean Song's moments still feature yesterday's photo of him feeding that stray cat on the back hill. Liu Xingluo's actions in my past life had already made me completely lose faith in her. Seeing all this, I only felt that my decade of unwavering devotion was worthless. Song Kitchen's dorm room was right next to mine. After my rebirth, with my deliberate attention, I often overheard his loud boasts in the dorm about which girl he'd slept with and so on. Damn, hooked with a fake bag? That's our brother's song for you. Even the campus belle, who usually looks down her nose at us. Amid the ensuing laughter, Song Kitchen's voice followed, just like that, a real slut in bed. Whenever they mentioned Liu Xingluo's name, I'd pretend to pass by and then fawn over them to get closer. They didn't deliberately avoid me when discussing these matters, and I'd even say things against my conscience. Brother Song, you're truly my idol. How could I ever hold a grudge against you? That Liu Xingluo, I simped for her for a year, and she still dumped me. I should thank you for ridding the world of a scourge. Flattered by my praise, Song Kitchen's guard around me weakened gradually, and he no longer avoided saying even more outrageous things in my presence. And whenever Sean Song got carried away, I'd quietly hit the record button. These conversations could prove quite useful at the right moment. Lately, Stella Liu had been flaunting her knockoff bag everywhere. Back when I was trying to win Stella over, I'd actually studied these things. This bag was an obvious fake, a shoddy piece even among knockoffs. Besides, I'd once given her an identical real one. See this. You broke. Ass. This is the real deal. You gave me a fake and made me lose face in front of Sean. Noticing my gaze, Stella deliberately came closer to embarrass me. For a moment, my heart stirred with regret. Something I'd once treasured was now being trampled so carelessly. As soon as the words left my mouth, I cursed myself inwardly. Idiot. To help Stella dig herself deeper, I covered for Sean. Knockoffs aren't cheap either. No need to pay me back. She guarded that fake bag like a treasure. Looking so pitifully provincial, it was both laughable and sad. Sean Song's infatuation with Stella Liu lasted even shorter than I'd imagined. Several times, I saw her alone in the cafeteria, ordering the cheapest meal options. When spotting acquaintances, she'd bluff, "I'm on a diet, gotta eat low, oil, low, salt food." Those who gradually showed concern were all rebuffed by her sharp retorts. Only Sienna, Gu would tease her when passing by. "Wow, a huge bowl of rice with a few lettuce leaves. Not sure about dieting, but it's definitely cheap." The classmates who saw through the act laughed openly, without restraint, including me, who was eating at the time. Sienna noticed me and cheerfully sat opposite with her tray, seeming in high spirits. She chatted about everyday matters while eating. Grandma's surgery was a complete success. The doctor said if we'd waited a few more months, it would have been dangerous for her. "You're our family's great benefactor. Don't worry, I'll pay back the money eventually." Stella Liu, smarting from the earlier humiliation, seized the opening. Someone who can't even afford tuition shouldn't be making bold claims. Then she muttered under her breath, unwilling to let it go. Did they really not ask for that 100,000 back? Sienna, Gu never hid her family's poverty or her own money. Loving nature. Director Chun is coming to campus for casting next week. Even if I don't get a role, I can start as an extra. Money, it'll always find its way. Stella caught the key point, instantly forgetting the 100,000. It's really Director Chin? After getting confirmation, her worried expression melted away in an instant. Her gaze towards Sienna turned dismissive and scornful. With me around, you really will only get to be an extra. Stella Liu, for some inexplicable reason, was brimming with confidence, certain she would land the female lead. In my past life, I was afraid Stella would be heartbroken if she wasn't selected. So I turned around and begged my dad to invest in the project, pestering him until he convinced the director to change the female lead to Stella. Stella smoothly entered the entertainment industry thanks to that series. Yet she simply assumed the director had been captivated by her beauty. Sienna Gu was also selected by the director as the third female lead, playing the role of the male leads, one that got away in the drama. That kind, virtuous, and well-mannered character was brought to life by Sienna's performance. Even fans of the original novel found it impeccable. For a long time, Sienna's popularity even overshadowed that of the female lead. Driven by jealousy, Stella Liu later schemed during their collaboration, tricking Sienna into putting a sedative into the director's drink by claiming it was a sobering agent. After the director lost consciousness, Stella set a trap for Sienna, sending her to the director's bed. Afterward, not only did the bedroom video leak, but Sienna's alleged act of drugging the director was also exposed. In the eyes of netizens, Sienna became a woman who would stop at nothing to secure a role. Sienna's acting career ended before it had even fully begun. The most infuriating part was that I was the one who paid for the video's trending promotion. Stella merely explained that she couldn't stand Sienna's actions and took the risk to expose her true nature, begging me to help her. At the time, I marveled that Sienna Gu didn't seem like someone who would stop at nothing for fame, though I didn't probe too deeply. By the time I uncovered the truth, many years had already passed. I had been married to Stella Liu for 3 years when I caught her cheating. During our argument, she accidentally let slip the truth. It was only then that I realized what kind of viper I had fallen for all these years. Suddenly, it all became clear to me. I exposed everything she had done, hoping to atone for the indirect harm I had caused others. Without my support, and amid the unstoppable public outcry, Stella Liu was unequivocally blacklisted from the entertainment industry and investigated by the police. From then on, she saw me as her mortal enemy, vowing to drag us both down together. She held on to me as we plunged from the 37th floor. That fall led to our rebirth. The memories of our past life remain vivid to this day. I'll never forget the ferocious expression on her face as she jabbed my spine, calling me useless and wishing me dead. It chilled me to the bone. Faced with Stella Liu's wild boasts, Sienna Gu rolled her eyes. What a nutcase. Stella Liu's heavy punch landed on Cotton, leaving her no choice but to storm off in frustration. Watching her eat humble pie filled me with sheer satisfaction. I also went to the casting session for the film crew. Sienna Gu was dressed elegantly, the sunlight bathing her in a glow so beautiful it felt untouchable. Seeing me arrive, she stood on tiptoe and waved excitedly. Stella Liu was still wearing the dress she'd saved up her own money to buy, a red dress that had been washed so many times it faded to pale. She looked down on the clothes I bought her, yet treasured garments costing 1,000 or 2, like priceless gems. For this important occasion, she once again donned her battle armor. When I arrived, an impatient Shan Song took one look at her outfit and spoke bluntly. I've never seen anyone wear a dress washed until it turned pale. Stella Liu tugged at her dress, flustered. Just wait and see. Sooner or later, those people will be begging me to wear their couture gowns. Shan Song smirked disdainfully. Stella's expression darkened, but she held back from arguing. So desperate to marry into the Song family, she was completely under his thumb. Humiliated by Shan, Stella looked for ways to salvage her pride elsewhere. Finally, it was Stella's turn. After introducing herself, she launched into an overly confident audition. The director spoke tactfully. This student still has plenty of room to grow, used to being praised and unable to read the room. Stella took it as a compliment. Afterward, she smugly taunted the other students. With me here, you're just wasting your time. Better go hand out flyers somewhere. Her confidence shattered when she wasn't selected, met with cold stares from her peers. Overcome with anger, she marched straight to the director to demand an explanation. The director was discussing the script with Sienna Gu, who looked flattered and spoke with such wit and charm that it greatly lifted the director's mood. Faced with Stella Lu's accusatory tone, the director still responded politely.
There are no suitable roles for you in this series.
But we can collaborate another time. Repeatedly provoked, Stella Lu blurted out recklessly, I'm the campus belle. If you don't think I'm good enough, why did you choose Sienna Gu? What does she have that I don't? Stella Lu's tone was deeply unpleasant, and the director's expression darkened instantly, showing her no courtesy. Miss, when I praised your acting potential, it's because there's still much room for improvement. Besides, your appearance carries too much of a worldly vibe. Playing the female lead is absolutely out of the question. Stella Lu stood rooted to the spot, grinding her teeth in fury, her face flushing crimson amid the sounds of mocking laughter. The director took several sips of tea to barely contain his anger. He waved his hand and instructed the staff to escort Stella Lu out. Stella Lu struggled, cursing like a madwoman. What's there to be so arrogant about? When I make it big, you'll be begging me on your knees, and I won't even give you the time of day. Director Chen was a hotshot filmmaker, and with this outburst, Stella Lu had effectively slammed the door shut on her path into the entertainment industry. I hit pause, saved the video, having accomplished what I came here to do. Once this footage got out, even if Stella Lu had some real talent, no one would dare cast her. Yet, oblivious to the gravity of the situation, Stella Lu threw a tantrum right there in the crowded hallway. In the end, the crew only selected the third female lead from our school, Sienna Gu. Before joining the set, Sienna Gu sent me a message. I'll be eating and staying with the crew, so I can pay you back the 100,000 as soon as I return. Realizing she'd truly been passed over, and with Sean's song starting to give her the cold shoulder, Stella Lu began to panic. She turned to me, wanting to get back together. Seeing that I was no longer wrapped up in romantic distractions, my father decided to test me by having me take on company responsibilities ahead of schedule. Drawing on my past life experience, I handled everything with ease and confidence. Stella Lu arrived just as I was on a crucial phone call. Impatient, she snatched my phone and ended the call abruptly. I was talking to you. Didn't you hear me? I said, let's get back together. The call just now determined whether I could sign my first ever contract. What could have been a perfect start was utterly ruined by Stella Lu. I glared at Stella, my expression darkening to its limit. I hadn't intended to embarrass her publicly, but she raised her voice and drew everyone's attention. Anger simmering, I matched her volume sharply. I told you I don't like you anymore. Are you deaf? Stella salvaged her pride forcefully. I turned down Sean Song's confession for you. You must be secretly thrilled. Bystanders halted to watch. The moment she mentioned Sean Song, I tapped my phone and played the recording at full volume. Stella Lu, the campus belle. I've been with women far prettier than her. Buy her a fake bag, and she wags her tail like an excited puppy. Once you've slept with her, she loses all appeal. Others at least play hard to get, but you have no idea how wild she is in bed. Sean Song's voice was all too familiar to most people present. I'm not afraid to drag him into this either. The Song family might look glamorous on the surface, but some of their business still depends on us. I'll just consider it my good deed for the day. Stella Lu's first instinct was to hide her fake bag behind her back. Then she jumped up, trying to snatch the phone from my hand. Turn it off. Turn it off. Stella Lu hopped around me like a clown. Not only did I not turn it off, I kept replaying it. The crowd grew larger. Some even started taking photos. The more Stella cared, the more it proved the truth. Realizing she couldn't stop me, Stella covered her face and fled in a panic. Someone recorded it again, and soon the whole school knew Stella had been played by Sean Song, becoming the talk of the town. Gradually, everything turned out the opposite of what Stella had imagined. Yet, she was powerless, unable to figure out where things had gone wrong. Sienna Gu's film was released soon after. She earned universal acclaim through her sheer talent. In this lifetime, Stella Lu still harbored bitter resentment toward Sienna Gu, but as a poor student, she had no means to confront Sienna. She could only seethe with envy in private, losing sleep over her frustration. Even her one redeeming feature, her face, grew increasingly haggard. As Sienna grew more popular with endless offers, Stella refused to sit idle. She began auditioning frantically, but even got rejected for extra roles. She couldn't understand why directors sometimes seemed impressed after auditions, yet she never passed. Moreover, their attitudes toward her shifted drastically before and after. I anonymously sent the video of Stella Lu insulting director Chun to her latest audition crew. No one would risk offending a renowned director for an unknown newcomer. As for Sean Song, he didn't even have time to seek revenge on me. The girls he had deceived took turns staking out his building every day. Whenever Sean stepped out, they'd silently follow him, holding up signs. The signs thoughtfully listed all of Sean's offenses, along with his WeChat, phone number, and home address. Eventually forced to drop out, Sean went abroad for further studies to lay low. Before leaving, unable to swallow his pride yet too afraid to confront me, he made his chat logs with Stella Lu public. The top comment under the post was practically worthy of an erotic novel. That aloof goddess had completely fallen from grace, while Stella's dream of marrying into wealth was already shattered. Now she'd be lucky to find a decent boyfriend at university. Left with no options, Stella nearly couldn't afford meals and had to sell her bags and clothes. I opened her Flipfish profile, and the first things I saw were all the gifts I'd carefully chosen and given her with so much joy. Yet she listed them all at bargain prices like $300 or $500. She even noted on the details page that prices were negotiable, except for the fake bag and one with severe surface damage due to her neglect. I purchased all the others. I wanted no further ties with Stella Lu. Even the thought of her using gifts from me disgusted me, using the excuse of urgent local need. I ordered instant courier pickup right after placing the order. Stella Lu begged me to buy the remaining 2 bags as well. I pretended not to see the message, only starting to reply slowly after the courier collected the items. That bag is obviously fake. Only a fool would buy it. The other one is genuine, but with the leather all scratched up, it's hardly worth anything now. Watching the typing indicator, Stella Lu hesitated before finally asking, "So the ones you bought are all authentic?" After my confirmation, Stella Lu fell silent. As I expected, Stella Lu took the bags for authentication. I left that particular bag behind precisely to make the contrast clear for her. Even a severely damaged bag was worth more than the treasure Sean Song had given her. But regret was useless now. I had already confirmed the receipt. With the things I gave her, she could have lived comfortably throughout her college years. Yet Stella Lu chose to sell my love for a pittance, and she could no longer reach that generous buyer. She was stuck swallowing this bitter pill. Regret coiled around her neck like a rough rope, choking the breath from her. One wrong step led to another, so she had no choice but to come ask me. "You've never sent me a red envelope over $2,000, yet they say those bags combined could buy an apartment. Where did you get that kind of money?" Just then, someone approached me, slinging an arm around my neck. "Bro, I've been looking for you forever. Could you show some consideration for our family's matters? Just let a little trickle down from your fingers, so I can report back to the old man." This guy was average, looking and known for throwing his weight around at school, so he never caught Stella Lu's eye. Yet his family's wealth rivaled Sean Song's. His attitude said it all. Both witness accounts and material evidence clearly show I'm far wealthier than Stella Lu imagined. The guy spotted Stella nearby and blurted without hesitation, "No way, bro. You're still hung up on her. Seriously, you could have anyone. Why? Hang yourself on a single tree." He then turned to stare at Stella's furrowed, confused brow. Even I looked down on that Shansong guy. Why are girls throwing themselves at him? Besides, he survives on our Lee's favor. What's so great about him? He clicked his tongue twice, eyeing Stella with a mix of puzzlement and disdain. With every word he spoke, Stella's face grew paler. She muttered in disbelief. Impossible. Shansong is the heir to the Song Corporation. How could he depend on someone else? I never flaunted my family background before, partly because I didn't care about material things, and partly to avoid making Stella uncomfortable. Now, I could only laugh bitterly at my own naivety. You know the Song Corporation, but not the Yang Corporation? Our Lee is the sole heir of Yang. That Shansong's just an illegitimate son. They're not even comparable. Don't tell me you didn't even know our brother Lee uses his mother's surname? The person asking me for a favor glanced at Stella, Lu's expression, and teased further. Well, looks like someone's filled with regret now. Stella Lu, overwhelmed with regret, timidly reached for my hand, as if we'd travel back to when we first met. I'll accept your confession. Let's get back together, okay? It was all Shansong who manipulated me before. You know, I've always been naive and easily deceived. Without hesitation, I shook off her hand and immediately smoothed the wrinkles she'd made on my sleeve. Naive? More like foolish. You always took me for a fool in the past. Now you aren't worthy. How could I possibly keep stumbling over the same mistake again and again? As I turned to leave, Stella stood there numb, tears silently streaming down her face. Boundless bitterness engulfed her. Her eyes held a mix of regret and shock, leaving her dazed for a long time. During the class break, with people coming and going, Stella was bumped into several times but showed no reaction at all. Stella Lu, who usually refused to wake up early, now delivered breakfast punctually at 7 a.m. every day outside the boys' dormitory. As soon as she saw me, she handed over the steamed buns she was holding. I kept them close. They're still warm. Eat them while they're hot. I rejected her every day, yet she persisted every day. She thought she could eventually win me over. I didn't appreciate you before, so let my punishment be taking care of you from now on. My eyes lowered slightly, realizing how detestable my past self had been. When I took the breakfast, her eyes lit up, but right in front of her, I tossed it into the trash. I find anything you've touched dirty. To make her give up, I laid out the whole truth. How she failed the audition and sold her bags on Flipfish. Stella Lu staggered back a few steps, staring at me in disbelief. She screamed hysterically, demanding, "Was rejecting your confession reason enough for you to destroy me?" I stayed silent, refusing to explain, my gaze never meeting hers from start to finish. Stella Lu bit her lower lip tightly, tears streaming down her face as she ran off. The next day, she truly didn't show up downstairs at the dormitory again. After Sienna Gu finally finished her busy schedule, she returned the money to me in person. During Stella Lu's destitute period, Sienna Gu won the Best New Actor award. The moment she saw me take the money, Sienna Gu let out a long sigh of relief. Hee, you're finally not my creditor anymore. From now on, we're on equal footing. I casually remarked, "No need to thank me. This is what I owed you." Sienna Gu frowned in confusion, but before she could ask, Stella Lu suddenly reappeared after being absent for days. Her face still looked haggard, yet she had regained her former arrogance. What's there to be so proud about? It's just the third female lead role. I'll have you know, a company has already recognized my potential and plans to debut me. Stella Lu's expression bordered on madness, overjoyed that she was finally about to turn her life around. Her gaze toward me was filled with hatred, as if she wished she could tear me to pieces. I wondered to myself, what film crew would be so reckless as to dare use this? After that, Stella Lu vanished from my life for a long time. I saw Stella Lu again in a way I never expected. One day, returning to the dorm, before I even pushed open the dorm door, I heard sounds not suitable for children. As soon as I opened it, a crumpled tissue nearly landed on my shoe. I kicked Fatty's chair. Show some decency. It's broad daylight. Fatty, not even bothering to pull up his pants, eagerly tried to share his find. Broly, look at this. I instinctively closed my eyes to avoid it, scolding, "Pull your damn pants up." Fatty grew so impatient, he tried to pry my eyes open with his unwashed hands. Forced to open my eyes, I saw an extremely provocative Stella Lou. She had indeed become a leading lady, just in porn. I thought she'd been deceived and led astray. But Fatty pulled out an entire series, all starring Stella Lou. Watching her evolve from awkward to increasingly skilled, I clenched my fists, ashamed of having been infatuated with her in my past life. I couldn't believe someone would willingly sink to such depths. Given Stella Lou's vindictive nature, her long absence from my sight likely meant she was plotting some scheme where if she suffered, I wouldn't escape unharmed either. I stared at the unspeakable videos on my phone. Since we finally reached the final step, rather than posting them on forums or alumni groups, I could send them to someone far more interesting. Stella Lou, where are you? Stella's mother came to the school and, ignoring the ongoing class, stood at the doorway, shouting hysterically. She arrived just as Stella was flaunting her newly purchased bag. Hearing the commotion, Stella covered her face, hurried to the entrance, and whispered urgently, "Mom, what are you doing here? Your phone's unreachable. You ignore my messages. If I don't come here to find you, where else would I look?" Stella tried to push her mother outside, but Mrs. Lou barged inward regardless. "I came here specifically to crash this class just to witness this drama. Aunt Lou was my mother-in-law in my past life, so we're practically old acquaintances. When her son got married, had a child, or even when her daughter-in-law was in confinement, they always expected Stella Lou, the easy target, to foot the bill. Back then, I felt sorry for Stella. It was my money they were draining, and they were too busy buttering her up to show anything but good manners. They flattered Stella so much she couldn't tell right from wrong. She's my own mother, my own brother. Are you really that stingy over a bit of money? I heard you're now filming porn, and it pays really well." Struggling to find the right words, Aunt Lou's voice grew increasingly shrill. Stella couldn't stop her in time, and the whole classroom heard it crystal clear. "Mom, let's talk outside. You must have heard wrong. That wasn't me." Stella urgently tried to push Aunt Lou away. Aunt Lou fiddled with her phone, and soon some unspeakable sounds filled the air. "Look, if it's not you, then who is it? You crawled out of my womb. I'd recognize you even if you turned to ashes." A student in the front row leaned in for a closer look, and Mother Lou quickly handed over her phone. "Can you help me see if this is my daughter?" The student gasped in shock. "Oh my God, it really is Stella Lou." Stella Lou's ears flushed crimson with shame as she slowly knelt down, her voice trembling with tears. "Mom, I beg you, please stop. You've earned so much money, yet you don't send any to your brother. He can't even afford to buy gear for his games. How did I give birth to such a heartless daughter?" Stella Lou let out a sharp cry, cutting off her mother's endless rant. She laughed hysterically and demanded, "Mom, I'm your daughter too. Since I was little, the good food and comforts never came to me. You only ever asked me for money. In high school, you tried to marry me off to a man 20 years older. Now, are you trying to drive me to my death?" Mother Lou slapped her thigh and began to wail in imitation. "How can you be so cold-hearted? You're making films like this. Surely you have money for your brother. I don't care. Your brother is about to start high school. His teacher says he won't even be able to study without tens of thousands. You better scrape it together fast, or I'll kill myself right in front of you." Aunt Lou's gnashing teeth and ferocious expression made one feel quite uncomfortable. After Aunt Lou was asked to leave by the teacher, Stella Lou knelt alone on the spot, covering her face and weeping bitterly. It turned out Stella had been approached by someone claiming to be a talent scout, who immediately introduced her to a director. Thinking she had finally met her benefactor, Stella didn't consider the possibility of a scam. Even when the director hinted at the casting couch, Stella half-heartedly agreed. For fame, she cast all caution to the wind. It wasn't until the video was exposed afterward that she learned the so-called director was just a porn actor. but already deceived. Stella, unable to resist the lure of money, sank deeper and deeper. Stella sat on the ground, crying and laughing hysterically, then numbly raised her head to stare blankly into space. Her eyes hollow, I met her gaze for a moment. She hastily looked away, clinging to her last shred of dignity. There was nothing worth pitying. Since she chose to wallow in degradation, she must face the consequences of her choices. She had unwittingly become the very person she despised most. Stella Lou was utterly ruined. She truly became the female lead of a hit show. The porn she filmed was practically in everyone's hands at school. Due to the negative influence, the school expelled Stella Lou, reborn into this life. She didn't even have a college diploma. The road ahead was bound to be rough. Later, I saw news about her again. Stella Lou and her family of 3 died in a fire. The final investigation concluded that Stella Lou had intentionally set the blaze. In this life, overwhelmed by despair, she once again chose suicide, but this time, she dragged her younger brother and mother down with her. Judging by the timing of the fire, she probably sent me a text just before she died, likely more apologies and pleas for reconciliation, but it no longer stirred even a ripple in my heart, for I had long erased her from my life. Oh, still hung up on your old flame, are you? I was having a meal with Sienna Gu when the news caught my eye. She lifted her head from a pile of grass, her face full of resentment. I instinctively defended myself. But you're the one who released this news. Hearing this, Sienna Gu pouted even more. I don't care. You're punished. Massage my legs for me. I sighed. Fine. I must have owed you from a past life. From our first meeting, my heart had felt a faint stirring, but I couldn't tell if that stirring was out of guilt or genuine affection. So, I always chose to evade Sienna's enthusiasm. Now that the dust has settled, I can finally face the deepest part of my heart. It turns out that girl bathed in sunlight had long taken residence within me. After bidding a final farewell to the past, I took that first step forward, faced with my confession. Sienna's joy was written all over her face. I do. I've been waiting so anxiously. In this life, my wife is also an A-list starlet, but her name is Sienna Gu.